The observation deck of Unity Station offered a breathtaking view of Earth below, its blue and green surface swirling with white clouds. Captain David Reed stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the planet that had birthed humanity spin slowly beneath the orbital platform. 6 months had passed since first contact with the Galactic Council, and everything had changed. Captain Reed, Ambassador Nira has arrived for the briefing, Lieutenant Harris announced from the doorway. David turned to see the gentle ambassador gliding into the room. Nira's species resembled what humans might describe as an upright deer, with soft golden fur and large, gentle eyes that seemed to radiate kindness. The gentle hailed from a world called Meadowspring, and their name was remarkably accurate. They were herbivores, peaceful to their core, and had never known war in their entire recorded history. Ambassador, welcome, David said warmly, extending his hand. Nira touched it delicately with her 3-fingered appendage. Still getting used to the human gesture. Captain Reed, I remain amazed by your station, Nira said in her melodious voice, translated seamlessly by the neural interface all council members wore. To think 6 months ago we did not know your people existed. The galaxy got a lot smaller for all of us, David replied with a smile. Please have a seat. Dr. Mendez should be here any moment to discuss the ecological database. As if summoned, Dr. Laura Mendez strode through the door, a datapad tucked under her arm and her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She was Earth's chief xenobiologist, tasked with the monumental job of explaining Earth's biosphere to alien minds. Sorry I'm late, Laura said, setting her datapad on the conference table. I was just finishing the preliminary files for the Council archives. Ambassador Nira, it's wonderful to see you again. And you, Dr. Mendez, Nira replied, settling into a specially designed chair that accommodated her unique physiology. I must confess I am very excited to learn about Earth's wildlife. The Council has never encountered a world quite like yours. Laura and David exchanged a glance. That was putting it mildly. Earth's biodiversity had shocked the xenobiologists of the Galactic Council. Most worlds in the known galaxy hosted a few thousand species at most. Earth had millions. We've prepared a comprehensive database, Laura began, pulling up holographic displays. I thought we'd start with some of our more common animals, just to give you a baseline understanding of Earth's ecosystems. Wonderful, Nira said, her ears perking up with interest. Laura scrolled through her files. Let's see, I've organized these by habitat and size. Perhaps we could start with some of our coastal regions. I have some excellent footage of saltwater crocodiles from Australia. That sounds delightful, Nira said. Laura tapped the file and stepped back as a 3-dimensional hologram materialized above the table. It showed a riverbank with murky water. Suddenly, an enormous reptilian creature exploded from the water, its jaws snapping shut on what appeared to be a wild pig with bone-crushing force. The sound that came from Ambassador Nira was unlike anything David had heard before. It was a high-pitched keen of pure terror. The ambassador's eyes rolled back, her body went rigid, and she collapsed backward in her chair. Nira. David lunged forward, catching her before she hit the floor. Medical team to conference room 7, immediately. Laura frantically shut off the hologram, her face pale. I don't understand. What happened? Within seconds, the medical team arrived with both human and alien physicians. They carefully placed Nira on a stretcher while a gentle doctor scanned her with instruments David didn't recognize. Severe shock response, the gentle physician said, his voice tight with worry. Her heart rate is dangerously elevated. What did you show her? Just a crocodile, Laura said, bewildered. It's a large reptile from Earth, I didn't think. A predator? The physician asked sharply. Well, yes, but how large? This one was probably 5 meters, maybe 600 kilograms, Laura said. It's big, but not even close to Earth's largest predators. The gentle physician stared at her as if she had just described a nightmare made flesh. That creature weighs as much as 10 of our people. And you say there are larger predators on your world? David felt a cold sensation in his stomach. Doctor, are you saying that crocodiles don't exist on other council worlds? Captain Reed, the largest predator on Meadowspring, would fit in the palm of your hand. It hunts insects. The thought of a creature that size hunting prey. The doctor trailed off, his own hands shaking as he continued treating Nira. Laura sat down heavily in a chair, her datapad forgotten. Oh no, and what is it? David asked. If they think a crocodile is terrifying, Laura pulled up her database, scrolling through file after file. Her face grew progressively more pale. David, I organized this by what I thought was least threatening to most threatening. I was going to ease them into it. And my least threatening category includes things like leopards, bears, and sharks. She looked up at him with wide eyes. I have files on box jellyfish, cone snails, Sydney funnel web spiders, and inland taipans. I have detailed documentation on mosquitoes being responsible for more human deaths than any other animal. I was going to show them footage of orcas hunting. David ran a hand over his face. How bad is this? Captain, Laura said quietly, I don't think they have any concept of what Earth really is. The predator-prey dynamics, the evolutionary arms race, the sheer lethality of our ecosystem. To us, a crocodile is just part of the background. We know not to swim in certain areas, and we move on with our day. But to them, it's a monster, David finished. They watched as the medical team stabilized Nira and prepared to transport her to the medical bay. The gentle ambassador was beginning to regain consciousness, but her eyes were still wide with fear. Captain Reed, the gentle physician said formally, I will need to file a report with the Galactic Council about this incident. They will want to know what caused such a severe trauma response in an ambassador. Of course, David said. We'll cooperate fully with any investigation. After the medical team left, David and Laura stood alone in the conference room. The holographic display was dark, but both of them stared at where the crocodile had been. We need to halt the data transfer, Laura said finally. Until we understand how the council species perceive danger, we can't just dump our entire wildlife database on them. It could cause mass panic. Agreed, David said. He activated his communicator. Get me a priority channel to Earth Command. We have a situation. As he waited for the connection, David looked out at Earth again. Humanity had always known their planet was special, with its incredible diversity of life. But they had assumed that was normal, that other worlds would be similar. It had never occurred to them that Earth might be exceptional in a very different way, that their home might be, by galactic standards, a death world, and that humanity's ability to survive and thrive there might be something the galaxy had never seen before. The stars beyond Earth suddenly seemed a lot less welcoming, and a lot more fragile. Laura joined him at the window. What do you think they'll do? She asked quietly. I don't know, David admitted. But something tells me our application for council membership just got a lot more complicated. In the medical bay, Ambassador Nira had finally stabilized. As the sedatives took effect and she drifted toward unconscious rest, her last thought was a question that would soon echo through the halls of the Galactic Council. If humans considered that creature normal, what else was waiting in Earth's files? What else lurked on that beautiful blue world below? And most terrifying of all, how had humanity survived? The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had witnessed many historic moments in its 3,000 years of operation. Treaties signed, wars prevented, new species welcomed into the fold of civilization. But never in all that time had an emergency session been called with such urgency over something as seemingly mundane as wildlife. Captain David Reed and Dr. Laura Mendez stood in the center of the circular chamber. Surrounded by the representatives of 47 species, the humans were the only ones standing on the polished floor. Every other delegate occupied floating platforms that allowed them to address the chamber from their preferred height and orientation. Counselor Rax of the Keen species hovered directly above them, his crystalline body refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns across the walls. The Keen were silicon-based lifeforms, ancient and logical, and Rax had been skeptical of humanity's inclusion from the beginning. Let us begin. Rax's voice resonated through the chamber, translated simultaneously into every language present. 3 standard days ago, Ambassador Nira of the Gentle suffered a severe medical emergency after viewing content from Earth's ecological database. She remains in intensive care, experiencing what her physicians describe as recurring traumatic episodes. Captain Reed, Dr. Mendez, please explain what you showed her that caused such harm. Laura stepped forward, her voice steady despite the weight of dozens of alien eyes upon her. Counselor, we showed Ambassador Nira a brief video of a saltwater crocodile in its natural habitat. It's a large reptile that inhabits coastal and river regions of Southeast Asia and Australia. We had no idea it would cause such a reaction. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Several delegates' translation devices struggled with the word crocodile, defaulting to phrases like armored water predator and death lizard. "Dr. Mendez," said Counselor Finn, a representative of the swimmers, an aquatic species whose tank platform bubbled softly. "Please provide specifications of this creature." Laura pulled up a holographic display, careful to show only a still image of a crocodile, not video. Several delegates recoiled anyway. Adult saltwater crocodiles average 5 to 6 meters in length and can weigh up to 1,000 kilograms. They are apex predators with one of the strongest bite forces in Earth's animal kingdom, approximately 16,000 newtons. The chamber erupted. Delegates spoke over each other, their translation devices creating a cacophony of alarm and disbelief. "Order," Rex commanded. The chamber fell silent. "Dr. Mendez, did you say apex predator? You are telling this council that creatures of this size actively hunt on your world?" "Yes, Counselor," Laura confirmed. "Crocodiles are carnivorous and hunt a variety of prey." "Including humans?" asked Ambassador Trill, a mantis-like being from the hive worlds. Laura hesitated. "Occasionally, yes, though attacks on humans are relatively rare given the overlap in our habitats. We've learned to coexist with them safely through education and caution." "Relatively rare," Rax repeated, his crystalline form darkening. "You speak of death as though it were an acceptable risk of daily life." "With respect, Counselor, it is," David interjected. "Humans have lived alongside dangerous animals for our entire evolutionary history. We've developed strategies to minimize risk while sharing the planet with other species." "Other species?" Finn asked. "You mean there are more creatures like this crocodile?" "Yes," Laura said simply. "Thousands of species, actually. Crocodiles are just one example of Earth's megafauna." The chamber fell into shocked silence. Counselor Rax descended until he was level with the humans. "Dr. Mendez, I am beginning to suspect that the Galactic Council has made a grave error in our understanding of Earth. Please, show us what you consider to be non-threatening animals from your world." Laura glanced at David, who nodded encouragement. She pulled up a new file. "These are some of the most common animals that humans interact with on a daily basis. We've domesticated them as companions." The hologram showed a domestic cat lounging in a sunny window. "This is a cat," Laura explained, "specifically a house cat. There are approximately 600 million of them living with humans across Earth." "It appears harmless," Trill observed. "Small, soft-looking. This is more in line with what we expected." "Cats are obligate carnivores," Laura continued. "They are descended from desert hunters and retain all their predatory instincts. They have retractable claws, excellent night vision, and can hear frequencies up to 64 kilohertz. They hunt for sport even when well-fed." "Carnivore?" Finn asked weakly. "You keep predators in your dwelling spaces?" "Yes," Laura said. "They help control rodent populations and provide companionship. Most human children grow up with cats or dogs." "Dogs?" Rax asked. Laura switched the hologram to show a golden retriever playing with a child in a yard. "Dogs are descended from wolves, which are pack-hunting predators. We domesticated them over 30,000 years ago. There are roughly 900 million dogs living with humans." The chamber had gone very quiet. "That creature," said Counselor Worth of the Burrowers, a small nervous species that resembled Earth's rabbits, "has teeth designed for tearing flesh. It is playing with a human juvenile. And you say there are 900 million of these weapons living in your homes?" "They're not weapons," David said firmly. "They're companions. Yes, dogs have predatory ancestry, but they've evolved alongside humans. They're loyal, protective, and loving. My daughter has a dog. He sleeps at the foot of her bed and has never shown the slightest aggression." "Because you have domesticated your predators," Rax said slowly. "You have taken creatures designed by evolution to kill and made them into companions." "When you put it that way, it sounds more dramatic than it is," Laura said. "Show us more," Rax commanded. "Show us what else you consider normal." Over the next hour, Laura presented a parade of Earth's domestic animals. With each revelation, the Council's horror grew. Horses, animals that could run at 70 kilometers per hour and kill with a single kick, which humans rode for recreation. Cattle, massive herbivores weighing nearly 1,000 kilograms, which humans herded in groups of hundreds. Pigs, intelligent omnivores with powerful jaws, which humans raised for food. Chickens, descended from jungle fowl, which humans kept by the billions. "Stop," Counselor Rax said finally. "Please stop." Laura closed the display. I need to understand something, Rax said, and for the first time, his usual stern demeanor seemed shaken. These are your domestic animals, the creatures you have chosen to live alongside. What do the wild animals look like? Laura and David exchanged glances. Counselor, David said carefully, perhaps we should table this discussion until— What do your wild animals look like? Rax demanded. Laura pulled up a new file. The hologram showed an African savanna. A herd of elephants moved across the grassland, their massive forms silhouetted against the setting sun. Those are elephants, Laura said. They can weigh up to 6,000 kilograms. They're intelligent, social, and generally peaceful unless threatened. 6,000, Finn whispered. That's more than my entire colony weighs combined. The hologram shifted to show a pride of lions resting in tall grass. Lions, apex predators. They hunt in coordinated groups. A hippopotamus, jaws agape. Hippopotamuses, herbivores but extremely territorial and considered one of Africa's most dangerous animals. A grizzly bear standing on its hind legs. Bears, found on multiple continents. This one can weigh 800 kilograms and run at 55 kilometers per hour. With each image, the council chamber grew quieter. Finally, Rax raised a crystalline appendage. Enough. Dr. Mendez, I must ask you directly. What classification would you give your world's danger level? Laura frowned. I'm not sure I understand the question, Counselor. In our surveys of potential habitable worlds, we classify them by danger level. Class 1 worlds have minimal threats, simple ecosystems. Class 5 worlds have moderate predation and some environmental hazards. The highest classification we have ever given is Class 8, for a world where 3% of species posed potential threats to Council visitors. Rax paused. What percentage of Earth species would you estimate could harm or kill a visiting Council member? Laura did some quick mental math and her face went pale. Counselor, that's difficult to answer because it depends on the species of the visitor, but if I had to estimate, she swallowed hard. Maybe 40%, 50? The chamber exploded into chaos. This is madness, shouted Ambassador Trill. Half their world wants to kill you and you act as though this is normal. Our evolutionary path was shaped by competition and survival, David said, raising his voice to be heard. Yes, Earth has dangerous animals, but we've learned to thrive despite that. We've developed medicine, strategy, cooperation. You've developed insanity. Worth squeaked. You let your children play with predators. You ride animals that could kill you. You swim in waters with these crocodiles. We take precautions, Laura insisted. We educate people about risks. We have safety measures. You have accepted death as part of life, Rax said, and the chamber fell silent again. That is what I am hearing. You have normalized danger to such a degree that you cannot see how aberrant your world truly is. David felt his jaw tighten. With respect, Counselor, every intelligent species faces challenges in their evolution. This is simply what ours looked like. No, Rax said firmly. Captain Reed, I have studied the evolutionary paths of all 47 Council species. Some faced scarcity, others faced environmental extremes. A few faced disease or natural disasters, but none, not a single one, evolved on a world where half the biosphere was actively trying to kill them. He paused. Until now. The weight of those words settled over the chamber. I am calling for an immediate halt to Earth's integration process, Rax announced. Until we can conduct a full ecological assessment of Earth, I cannot in good conscience allow humans unrestricted access to Council worlds. We must understand what you are before we can understand what you might bring with you. Counselor, that's not fair, Laura protested. We're not trying to deceive anyone. We simply didn't realize that you come from a death world, Rax finished. Yes, Dr. Mendez, that is precisely the problem. You didn't realize because to you it's normal. But I assure you it is anything but. The vote was swift and unanimous. Earth's integration would be suspended pending a comprehensive ecological survey conducted by a council team on Earth itself. As David and Laura were escorted from the chamber, David leaned close and whispered, How bad is this going to get? Laura thought about the files still waiting in her database. The venomous species, the parasites, the insects, the ocean creatures, Australia. David, she said quietly, we haven't even gotten to the bad parts yet. He stopped walking. What do you mean? Those were the safe animals. Exactly. In the council chamber, emergency meetings were already being scheduled. Teams were being assembled. Protocols were being written for what was being called Operation Death World Assessment. And in her medical bay, Ambassador Nira woke screaming from another nightmare about crocodiles, convinced that humanity's smiling faces hid something far more terrifying than any predator. They had befriended the monsters. What did that make them? The transport shuttle touched down at Kruger National Park in South Africa on a clear morning. Inside the craft, 6 alien xenobiologists sat in various states of anxiety, all wearing full environmental suits despite Earth's breathable atmosphere. Dr. Tev, the mission leader from the scholar species, checked his instruments for the 15th time since entering Earth's atmosphere. His species resembled what humans might call a bipedal octopus, with 6 manipulator tentacles and a bulbous head housing a brain twice the size of a human's. The scholars were known throughout the galaxy for their scientific rigor and emotional detachment. Neither quality was helping Tev at the moment. Life signs are off the scale, whispered Pyrrha, his young assistant. Her species, the Watchers, had evolved enormous eyes capable of seeing into the infrared and ultraviolet spectrums. Right now those eyes were wide with fear. Sir, my sensors are detecting thousands of distinct organisms within scanning range. That's normal for Earth, said Lieutenant Sam Torres, their human military escort. She stood near the shuttle door, completely at ease in just her standard uniform. No environmental suit in sight. We're in a wildlife preserve. It's supposed to be full of life. Full of life, yes, Tev said carefully, but my sensors indicate that at least 400 of the organisms within range mass more than 50 kilograms. That's not normal. That's not normal at all, Sam smiled. Doc, the smallest elephant in this park probably weighs 3,000 kilograms. You're going to need to recalibrate what you consider normal. The shuttle door hissed open, and warm African air flooded the cabin. Sam stepped out first, breathing deeply. Beautiful day, she said. Come on, folks. The observation post is just a click that way. The alien team emerged slowly, clustering together like nervous children. Their environmental suits gleamed white in the sun, making them look absurdly out of place in the golden savanna. Lieutenant Torres, Tev said, his translator giving his voice a mechanical quality. You are certain this location is safe? Safe is relative, Doc, Sam replied, checking her datapad. But yeah, the observation post is secure. Just stick with me and follow the protocols. They began walking, the alien team jumping at every sound. A bird call made Pyrrha squeak with alarm. The rustle of grass in the wind caused 2 other team members to freeze. What was that? Demanded Dr. Kelvin, a burrower similar to Counselor Worth. Wind, Sam said patiently. Are you certain? Pretty certain I know what wind sounds like, Doc. They had walked perhaps 200 meters when Tev's scanner began beeping frantically. Stop, he commanded. I'm detecting a cluster of large organisms approximately 100 meters to our left. Sam checked her own scanner and grinned. Oh, good catch. That's a herd of impala. Want to see them? Absolutely not, Kelvin said immediately. They're herbivores, Sam said. Prey animals. Totally harmless unless you really try to make them mad. How large are they? Pyrrha asked nervously. About 70 kilograms each, Sam said. There's probably 20 or 30 in that herd. Tev did the math. That's over 2,000 kilograms of animal mass in close proximity. That's a small herd, actually, Sam said cheerfully. Wait until you see the buffalo. They continued walking. Every 100 meters brought new horrors to the alien team. A dung beetle rolling its prize across the path caused a 5-minute delay while they scanned it for threat potential. The distant laugh of a hyena made 3 team members suggest an immediate return to orbit. When they finally reached the observation post, a raised platform with reinforced walls and one-way viewing windows. The alien team practically collapsed in relief, see? Sam said. Totally safe. Now we can observe the wildlife without any risk. Dr. Ruth Kipling, a human ecologist, was waiting for them at the post. She smiled warmly at the aliens. Welcome to Kruger. I hope the walk wasn't too stressful. Your entire planet is stressful, Kelvin muttered. Ruth laughed. Well, let's see if we can ease you into it. I've prepared a presentation covering some of our more notable species. We'll start with the smaller ones. She pulled up a hologram showing a mosquito, magnified to show detail. This is a mosquito, Ruth began. They're about 3 millimeters long and weigh roughly 2 milligrams. The tension in the room eased slightly. Finally, something appropriately sized. They're also the deadliest animal to humans in terms of total deaths. Ruth continued. Mosquitoes transmit diseases like malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, and Zika virus. They're responsible for approximately 700,000 human deaths per year. The room went silent. 700,000. Tev repeated. This creature, which weighs 2 milligrams, kills 700,000 of you annually. Well, technically the diseases kill us, Ruth clarified. The mosquitoes are just the vector. And you haven't exterminated them? Pyrrha asked. We've tried, Sam said. They're very good at surviving. Plus, they're part of the food chain. Lots of other animals eat them. Let me understand this correctly, Tev said slowly. You share your world with a creature that kills hundreds of thousands of you every year, and you allow it to continue existing because other creatures eat it. When you say it like that, it sounds bad, Ruth said. But it's really about ecological balance. Wipe out mosquitoes and you disrupt food webs. That could cause cascading failures in ecosystems. Tev made a note on his datapad. He was already up to page 17 of his report, and they'd only been on the planet for 2 hours. Let's move on, Ruth said, pulling up a new image. This is a black mamba snake. The hologram showed a sleek, dark serpent coiled on a branch. Black mambas are among the most venomous snakes in Africa, Ruth explained. They can reach lengths of 4 meters and move at speeds up to 20 kilometers per hour. Their venom is highly toxic and can kill a human in as little as 30 minutes without treatment. And how common are these? Kelvin asked weakly. They're widespread throughout sub-Saharan Africa, Ruth said, though they typically avoid human contact if possible. Typically, Tev repeated, adding another note. Ruth continued through her presentation. With each species, the alien's horror grew. The puff adder, responsible for more snakebite deaths in Africa than any other species. The honey badger, a small mammal with such ferocity that it would attack animals 50 times its size. The African wild dog, pack hunters with an 80% kill success rate. The Nile crocodile, which made the saltwater crocodile that had traumatized Ambassador Nira look tame by comparison. I need to stop, Tev said finally, holding up a tentacle. Dr. Kipling, every species you've shown us is designed to kill. Venom, claws, teeth, pack tactics, ambush predation. This preserve is full of creatures that could kill my entire team in seconds. Well, yes, Ruth said. It's a wildlife preserve. The whole point is to protect apex predators and maintain natural ecosystems. You protect them, Tev said. You actively work to ensure these monsters survive. They're not monsters, Sam said, her tone hardening slightly. They're animals. They're part of Earth's heritage. They have as much right to exist as we do. Even though they kill you, even though they can be dangerous, yes, Sam said. Look, Doc, humans have been dealing with these animals for our entire evolutionary history. We learn to avoid them, defend against them, and eventually live alongside them. It's just part of life. Pyrrha had been quiet for a while, studying the holograms intently. Now she spoke up. Lieutenant Torres, may I ask you something? Shoot, Sam said. How many times have you personally encountered dangerous animals? Sam thought about it. Define dangerous. Animals that could kill you? Oh, hell, I don't know. Dozens? Hundreds? Sam shrugged. I grew up in Arizona. We had rattlesnakes in our yard pretty regularly. Saw a mountain lion once while hiking. Had a close call with a black bear in Colorado. Nearly stepped on a stingray at the beach in California. Oh, and there was that time with the jellyfish in Hawaii, but I was wearing a wetsuit, so it was fine. The alien stared at her. You say this as though it were normal, Pyrrha said. It is normal, Sam replied. I mean, yeah, you learn to be careful. Check your shoes for scorpions. Watch where you step when hiking. Don't swim in areas with known shark activity. It's just common sense. Your common sense includes checking for venomous arthropods in your footwear, Tev said flatly. Well, yeah. Doesn't everyone's? No, Tev said. No, Lieutenant Torres, only your species has to do that. Ruth decided to try a different approach. Look, I know this is overwhelming, but humans aren't unique in our ability to adapt. Every species finds ways to survive in their environment. Ours just happens to be more competitive. Competitive, Kelvin repeated. Dr. Kipling, my species evolved on a world where the most dangerous predator hunted insects. Our greatest survival challenge was finding enough food during the dry season. You're talking about your planet as though it were actively trying to exterminate you. Well, Ruth said slowly, in a way, it kind of is. That's just evolution. The environment presents challenges, and species either adapt or go extinct. Humans adapted. How? Pyrrha asked, genuine curiosity breaking through her fear. How did you survive when everything around you was lethal? Sam and Ruth looked at each other. We learned, Sam said. We developed tools to defend ourselves. We built shelters to protect us from predators. We discovered which plants could heal and which would kill. We formed communities and shared knowledge. And eventually we got smart enough and organized enough that we became the apex predator. You became the thing you feared, Tev said quietly. No, Ruth corrected. We became the thing that understood fear. There's a difference. We know what it's like to be prey. That's why we work so hard to protect species now. We understand the value of every part of the ecosystem, even the parts that scare us. A loud trumpeting sound echoed across the savannah, and every alien in the observation post jumped. That's just elephants, Sam said, pointing to a group of massive gray shapes moving in the distance. They're probably heading to the waterhole. How far away are they? Tev asked. Maybe 2 kilometers. And I can hear them from 2 kilometers away? Elephants are loud, Ruth said. They also communicate with infrasound that humans can't hear. It travels even farther. Tev's scanner began beeping. I'm detecting low-frequency vibrations. Very powerful. They're making the ground shake. Yeah, that's the infrasound, Sam confirmed. They use it to coordinate over long distances. Pretty cool, actually. You find it cool, Tev said. I find it terrifying. Those creatures are using what amounts to seismic communication. They're so large that their speech literally shakes the earth. That's one way to look at it, Ruth said. Pyrrha pressed closer to the window, her large eyes tracking the elephant herd. They're magnificent, she said softly. Terrifying, yes, but magnificent. Tev looked at his young assistant in surprise. Pyrrha, these creatures could crush you with a single step. I know, Pyrrha said. But look at them. The way they move together, protecting the young ones. The older one leading the group. They're a family. She turned to Sam. Humans used to be hunted by creatures like these. Depends on the region, but yeah, basically, Sam said. Though humans mostly learned to avoid elephants. They're usually pretty chill if you leave them alone. And now you protect them, Pyrrha said. You went from being afraid of them to being their guardians. That's actually a pretty good way to put it, Ruth said, smiling. Tev was typing furiously on his datapad. This is beyond anything in the Council's experience. You evolved on a world where the food chain included creatures massing thousands of kilograms, where venom, fangs, claws, and pack hunting were the norm, where even the insects could kill you, and somehow not only did you survive, you developed compassion for the things that hunted you. Is that really so strange? Sam asked. Yes, Tev said emphatically. Yes, Lieutenant Torres, it is incredibly strange. The natural response to a predator is fear and avoidance. You turned that into curiosity and conservation. You study the things that want to kill you. You work to preserve them. You stand here unprotected and call them magnificent. He gestured at the elephants in the distance. That's not normal. That's not rational. He searched for the word. Brave. Impossibly brave. Sam looked uncomfortable with the praise. We're just doing what needs to be done. No, Pyrrha said, still watching the elephants. Dr. Tev is right. You're doing something extraordinary. You survived hell and learned to love it anyway. Through the window, the elephant herd reached the waterhole. They drank peacefully in the afternoon sun, massive and ancient and completely unaware of the aliens watching them in awe and terror. Tev closed his datapad and looked at Sam. We need to continue the assessment. I assume the ocean survey is next? Yeah, we're scheduled to visit a marine research station tomorrow. And the ocean is worse than this? Sam and Ruth exchanged glances. Different, Ruth said diplomatically. The ocean has its own unique challenges. That's not an answer, Tev said. Doc, Sam said gently, let's take this one biome at a time. You've got enough to process for today. As the sun began to set over the savannah, painting the sky in oranges and purples, the alien team watched Africa's wildlife emerge for the evening. Lions roared in the distance. Hyenas laughed. Something screamed in the bush, and the humans impossibly smiled at the symphony of danger. Tev began a new section in his report. Hypothesis. Humans are not aware they evolved in hell. Alternative hypothesis. Humans are aware, and hell is home. He wasn't sure which possibility was more unsettling. The research vessel Poseidon rolled gently in the swells off the coast of Queensland, Australia. Below deck, Dr. Tev was reviewing his notes from the previous day, while his team conducted final equipment checks. They had spent the night at a coastal research facility, and despite the comfortable accommodations, none of the aliens had slept well. "Sir?" Pyrrha called from the deck. "The human crew says we're approaching the dive site." Tev climbed the stairs to find Sam Torres and a new face waiting for them. The human was deeply tanned, with sun-bleached hair and the relaxed demeanor of someone completely at home on the water. "Dr. Tev, meet Dr. Ryan Chen, our marine biologist," Sam said. "He'll be guiding today's survey." "Welcome aboard," Ryan said, extending his hand. Tev touched it politely with a tentacle. "Beautiful day for it. Water's calm visibility should be excellent." "Dr. Chen," Tev said carefully, "before we begin, I need to establish baseline expectations. Yesterday, we learned that Earth's terrestrial ecosystems are far more dangerous than anything in the Council's experience. I need you to be completely honest with me. Is the ocean worse?" Ryan considered this. Worse is subjective. The ocean has different dangers. More things that can kill you in ways you won't see coming. "That is not reassuring," Kelvin muttered. "Look, the ocean covers 70% of Earth's surface," Ryan explained. "It's incredibly biodiverse. We've only explored about 5% of it. There are entire ecosystems down there we barely understand." "You're telling me that you don't know what's in 70% of your planet?" Tev asked. "We know what's in the shallow parts pretty well," Ryan said. "The deep ocean, though?" "That's still largely a mystery." Tev made a note. His report was now 43 pages long. "Let's start with something simple," Ryan said, pulling up a holographic display. "This is a box jellyfish." The hologram showed a translucent, cube-shaped creature with long, trailing tentacles. "It's beautiful," Pyrrha said. "It's also one of the most venomous creatures on Earth," Ryan said. "Those tentacles contain millions of nematocysts, microscopic harpoons filled with venom. A single sting can cause excruciating pain, paralysis, cardiac arrest, and death within minutes." The aliens stared at the delicate, ghostly creature in the hologram. "How large is it?" Tev asked. "The bell is about 30 centimeters, Ryan said. "The tentacles can extend up to 3 meters. "And how common are they?" "They're found throughout the Indo-Pacific, especially around northern Australia. During certain seasons, beaches are closed because of them." "You close your beaches," Kelvin said slowly, "because transparent death floats through the water." "Pretty much, yeah." Ryan continued the presentation. Each new species brought fresh horror. The blue-ringed octopus, smaller than a human hand, carrying enough tetrodotoxin to kill 26 adult humans within minutes. The cone snail, slow-moving and beautiful, with a venomous harpoon that could penetrate a wetsuit. The stonefish, perfectly camouflaged, the most venomous fish in the world, causing excruciating pain that could last for days. The saltwater crocodile, which they already knew about, but now they learned it also hunted in the ocean and could swim far from shore. The great white shark, 5 meters of pure predatory efficiency, capable of breaching clear out of the water to catch prey. "Stop," Tev said, holding up multiple tentacles. "Please just stop for a moment." Ryan paused the presentation. "Dr. Chen," Tev said carefully, "you're telling me that your ocean contains creatures that are transparent and deadly, creatures that are beautiful and deadly, creatures that are camouflaged and deadly, and creatures that are simply massive and deadly. That's a pretty accurate summary, yes. How do you swim in it?" "Carefully," Ryan said with a grin. "But seriously, most of these creatures don't want to interact with humans. We're not their natural prey. Most incidents happen because of accidents or mistaken identity." "Most incidents," Tev repeated, "meaning some incidents are intentional?" "Well, territorial defense usually. If you accidentally step on a stonefish or corner a blue-ringed octopus, they'll defend themselves." "And the sharks?" "Sharks mostly mistake surfers for seals. Wrong place, wrong time. Actual predatory attacks are incredibly rare." "How rare?" "Worldwide, maybe 5 to 10 fatal shark attacks per year." 5 to 10 deaths from sharks alone, Tev said, making another note. "Out of billions of human-ocean interactions annually," Ryan pointed out. "Statistically, you're more likely to be killed by a cow than a shark." Every alien in the room turned to stare at Sam. "Don't look at me," Sam said. "I didn't want to tell them about how dangerous cows are." "Ruins the whole peaceful farm animal image? Cows kill people?" Pyrrha asked. Mostly by accident, Sam said. They're big, they spook easily, and if you're in the wrong place when a 1,000-kilogram animal panics, bad things happen. Tev was typing frantically. 47 pages now. Can we please get back to the ocean? Kelvin asked. I feel like that's terrifying enough without adding homicidal cattle. Fair point, Ryan said. Let's move on to the really interesting stuff. This wasn't the interesting stuff? Tev asked weakly. Ryan pulled up a new hologram showing a distinctive black and white creature. This is an orca, also known as a killer whale. They're actually the largest member of the dolphin family. They're called killer whales, Kelvin said. That seems relevant. They're apex predators, Ryan explained. They hunt in coordinated pods using sophisticated tactics. They're intelligent, social, and incredibly effective. They prey on fish, seals, penguins, and even other whales. Some populations have been observed hunting great white sharks specifically for their livers. They hunt the sharks? Pyrrha asked. The 5-meter predators with rows of teeth? Yep. Orcas are bigger, smarter, and they work together. They've also never killed a human in the wild. Never? Tev asked skeptically. Not once. We think they know we're intelligent and choose not to hunt us. They've even been known to help humans on occasion. The aliens absorbed this information in silence. So you have intelligent predators in your ocean, Tev said slowly. That could kill humans but choose not to. And humans respond to this by whale-watching tours, Sam supplied. They're really popular. People pay good money to go see orcas in the wild. Of course they do, Tev muttered. Of course humans pay to get close to intelligent predators. They're beautiful, Pyrrha said, studying the hologram. Look at the way they move together. It's like a dance. It's a coordinated hunting strategy, Ryan corrected, but he was smiling. But yeah, it's also beautiful. Want to see something really cool? He pulled up video footage of orcas hunting seals on an ice floe. The pod created waves to wash the seal off the ice, then caught it in the water. That's incredible, Pyrrha breathed. The coordination, the intelligence, the strategy. That's terrifying, Kelvin countered. They're problem-solving predators. They're both, Ryan said. That's what makes them fascinating. A knock on the door interrupted them. One of the ship's crew poked her head in. Dr. Chen, we've got a pod of orcas about 2 kilometers off the port bow. Thought you might want to see them. Ryan's face lit up. Perfect timing. Want to see them in person? The aliens followed the humans up to the deck. Ryan handed out binoculars and pointed to where the distinctive dorsal fins cut through the water. There's at least 6 of them, Ryan said. Probably a hunting pod. Through his borrowed binoculars, Tev watched the massive creatures surface and dive. Even from 2 kilometers away, their size was impressive. He estimated the largest one at 7 or 8 meters. They're coming closer, Sam observed. They're curious, Ryan said. Orcas often investigate boats. Should we be concerned? Tev asked, his translator giving his nervousness a mechanical quality. Nah, they're just checking us out. The pod circled the boat, their black and white forms gliding through the water with effortless grace. One surfaced right alongside the ship, so close that Tev could see the details of its markings. And then it looked at him. The orca's eye, dark and intelligent, met Tev's own. For a moment, they regarded each other across the gulf of species and evolution. The orca made a sound, a complex series of clicks and whistles that resonated through the water and up through the ship's hull. Then it dove, and the pod moved on. Tev stood at the railing for a long time, tentacles gripping the metal bar. Dr. Tev? Pyrrha asked softly. Are you all right? It knew, Tev said quietly. That creature looked at me and it knew I was intelligent. It was curious about me. Yeah, orcas are like that, Ryan said. They're pretty much the ocean's version of humans in terms of intelligence and adaptability. And they choose not to kill you, Tev said. They could, but they don't. Right. Dr. Chen, I need to revise my assessment, Tev said, turning away from the railing. I've been approaching this survey from the wrong perspective. What do you mean? I've been cataloging Earth's dangers as though they were anomalies, as though the question was how humans survived despite their environment. Tev gestured to where the orcas had been. But that's not the right question. The right question is, how did humans develop compassion and curiosity in an environment that should have made them paranoid and aggressive? Sam and Ryan exchanged glances. You shared your evolutionary path with creatures like that, Tev continued. Intelligent predators, venomous ambush hunters, pack tacticians, megafauna that could crush you. And somehow, instead of becoming monsters yourselves, you became explorers and conservationists. You study the things that scare you. You protect the things that kill you. You see beauty in the dangerous and find fascination in the deadly. I mean, when you put it like that, Ryan said. How? Tev demanded. How did you do that? Sam thought about it. I guess because we had to. Fear alone wouldn't have helped us survive. We needed to understand the dangers, which meant studying them. And when you study something long enough, you start to see it as more than just a threat. You see the whole organism, the whole ecosystem. You see the beauty and complexity. And the orcas? Tev asked. The intelligent predators that could wipe you out but choose not to. I think that taught us something too, Ryan said quietly. It taught us that intelligence can choose mercy. That strength doesn't have to mean violence. Maybe we learned that from watching them. Or maybe they learned it from watching us. Either way, it's a lesson worth knowing. Pyrrha was writing furiously in her own notes. Lieutenant Torres, you said yesterday that humans became the apex predator. But it's more than that, isn't it? You became the apex predator and then chose to be stewards instead. That's the goal anyway, Sam said. We don't always succeed. But yeah, we try. Below deck, Dr. Chen's presentation continued. They learned about the giant squid, elusive deep-sea creatures with eyes the size of dinner plates and beaks that could shred steel. About moray eels, barracudas, and lionfish. About the many species of venomous sea snakes. About the diverse and deadly marine life that humans swam with, surfed over, and dove beneath every single day. With each new species, Tev's perspective shifted. He stopped seeing a catalog of horrors and started seeing an ecosystem so complex and competitive that it had forced humanity to become something unique. They had evolved not in spite of the danger, but because of it. That evening, as the Poseidon headed back to port and the sun set over the Pacific, Tev stood on deck with his team. We need to see Australia, he announced. We're off the coast of Australia right now, Sam pointed out. No, I mean the continent itself. Dr. Kipling mentioned it yesterday. She said it was where evolution got creative. I need to see what that means. Sam and Ryan looked at each other with expressions that might have been sympathy or might have been amusement. Doc, Sam said gently, are you sure you're ready for that? No, Tev admitted. But I need to complete this assessment, and apparently Australia represents some sort of pinnacle of Earth's danger. So we go to Australia. All right, Sam said. But don't say we didn't warn you. As the stars came out over the ocean, Tev transmitted a message to the Galactic Council. His report was now 72 pages long and included a new preliminary conclusion. Earth is not just a Class 12 death world. It is a crucible that forged humanity into something the galaxy has never seen. A species that learned to be gentle because they understood brutality, compassionate because they knew predation, and curious because they faced fear and chose understanding instead. He paused, then added one more line, and we haven't seen Australia yet. In orbit, Counselor Rax read the report and wondered, not for the first time, if allowing humans into the Galactic Council would change the galaxy forever. He suspected it would. He hoped his people were ready. The transport touched down at a research station in far north Queensland, and within 30 seconds of stepping onto the tarmac, Dr. Tev knew they had made a terrible mistake. His environmental suit's sensors immediately started cataloging threats. The readout scrolled so fast he couldn't keep up. Warning, venomous species detected. Warning, aggressive fauna in proximity. Warning, multiple threat vectors identified. Warning, environmental hazard level critical. Is your suit malfunctioning? Kelvin asked, his own sensors displaying similar alerts. I don't think so, Tev said, watching the warnings multiply. Sam Torres walked past them in shorts and a t-shirt, carrying their luggage like she was on vacation. Come on, folks. Let's get you inside before the sun gets too intense. The sun is a threat here? Pyrrha asked. UV radiation is pretty harsh in Australia, Sam explained. Ozone layer's thinner. You can get a nasty burn in about 15 minutes. The sun actively tries to kill you here, Kelvin muttered. Perfect. They had barely reached the research station when Counselor Rax himself materialized on a holographic display. The crystalline being had insisted on joining this final leg of the assessment remotely, unwilling to miss what he called the culmination of humanity's absurdity. Counselor, Tev greeted him. We've just arrived, so I see. And your threat detection systems? Going haywire, sir. Excellent. This should be educational. Dr. Hannah Wright, the station director, met them in the lobby. She was in her 60s with silver hair pulled back in a braid and the weathered skin of someone who spent most of their life outdoors. "Welcome to Queensland," she said warmly. "Fair warning, we found a taipan in the equipment shed this morning, and there's a saltwater crocodile that likes to sun himself by the boat dock, so let's stick to the paths, yeah?" "You found what in the where?" Tev asked. "Inland taipan, about 2 meters long. We relocated him to a safer area." "Define safer," Counselor Rack said from his projection. "Safer for us," Hannah clarified. "He's fine." "Dr. Wright," Tev said carefully. "What is an inland taipan?" Hannah pulled up a holographic display showing a sleek, bronze-colored snake. "This beauty is the most venomous land snake in the world. One bite contains enough venom to kill 100 adult humans. Neurotoxic, hemotoxic, myotoxic, all the toxics, really." The alien stared. "And you found one in your shed," Kelvin said flatly. "Yeah, they like cool, dark spaces. It's coming into summer, so they're more active." "How did you relocate it?" Pyrrha asked. "Snake hook in a bag," Hannah said, as if this were obvious. "I've been handling taipans for 30 years. You just have to respect them and move calmly." "You," Tev said slowly, "personally handled the most venomous snake on Earth with a stick and a bag." "Well, I wasn't going to grab it with my hands," Hannah said, laughing. "I'm careful, not suicidal," Sam grinned. "Welcome to Australia, Doc." Over the next hour, Hannah gave them a presentation that made the previous surveys look tame by comparison. The eastern brown snake, second most venomous land snake, found in urban areas and responsible for more deaths than any other snake in Australia. The Sydney funnel web spider, aggressive and highly venomous, capable of killing a human in 15 minutes. The box jellyfish, which they'd already discussed, but now learned was so common that beaches across northern Australia were closed for months each year. The blue-ringed octopus, tiny and gorgeous and carrying enough tetrodotoxin to kill 26 people. The cone snail, slow and beautiful and deadly. The stonefish, invisible death on the reef floor. The cassowary, a flightless bird that could disembowel a human with its claws. The saltwater crocodile, which they already knew about, but now learned grew even larger than previously indicated and could run at 35 kilometers per hour on land. "This is just the beginning," Hannah said cheerfully. "We haven't even gotten to the spiders yet." "There are more spiders?" Kelvin asked weakly. "Oh, dozens of species. The redback, the mouse spider, the trapdoor spider, the white-tailed spider. Most of them won't kill you, but they'll make you wish they had." Counselor Rax's projection flickered as he processed this information. "Dr. Wright, am I to understand that this single region contains more deadly species than most planets host in their entirety?" "Queensland? Yeah, probably. But the whole continent's pretty dangerous. We've got the most venomous snakes, spiders, octopi, jellyfish, fish, and marine snails. Plus the crocodiles, sharks, cassowaries, dingoes, and a few others." "Why?" Rax demanded. "Why does this location concentrate so much lethality?" Hannah shrugged. "Evolution. Australia's been isolated for millions of years. Species evolved in unique directions. The climate's harsh. Resources can be scarce, so competition's fierce. Things got creative with their defenses and hunting strategies." "Creative," Tev repeated. "You describe deadly adaptations as creative. Well, they are. The cone snail's venom delivery system is fascinating. The taipan's venom composition is incredibly complex. The funnel web's aggression is an unusual trait for spiders. These are remarkable evolutionary solutions. To the problem of killing things, Kelvin said. To the problem of survival." Hannah corrected gently. "Predators need to catch prey. Prey needs to defend itself. The arms race drives innovation. It's beautiful, really, if you look at it from the right perspective." Pyrrha had been quiet, but now she spoke up. "Dr. Wright, you said you've been handling taipans for 30 years. Have you ever been bitten?" "Twice," Hannah said casually. The room went silent. "Twice," Tev repeated. "You were bitten twice by the most venomous snake on Earth and you survived." "Well, yeah. We have anti-venom. First time was early in my career. I got careless. Second time was just bad luck, wrong place, wrong time. Both times I got to a hospital quickly, received treatment, and recovered fully." "You continued working with them after being bitten," Pyrrha said. "Of course. It wasn't the snake's fault. I was in his space. He defended himself. That's natural behavior." Counselor Rack spoke up. "Dr. Wright, you understand that from the Council's perspective, Your behavior is incomprehensible. You were nearly killed by a creature twice and your response was to continue studying it. What else would I do? Hannah asked, genuinely puzzled. These animals are important. They're part of our ecosystem, our heritage. Someone needs to understand them, protect them. Yes, they're dangerous. That's all the more reason to study them properly. You protect them, Rack said. You were nearly killed and you protect them. They're not evil, counselor. They're just trying to survive, same as us. Humans are far more dangerous to them than they are to us. Habitat destruction, climate change, human development. These species need advocates. Tev was adding furiously to his report. Page 137. Can we see some of these species in person? Pyrrha asked. Safely, she added quickly. Hannah brightened. Absolutely. We have a wildlife rehabilitation center here. We can start there, then maybe take a walk around the station. It's a beautiful afternoon. A walk, Kelvin said. Outside. Where the deadly things are. The deadly things are everywhere, Sam said. But statistically, you're pretty safe. Just follow the rules and stay alert. The rehabilitation center was an eye-opening experience. They saw a python being treated for injuries from a car strike, a young crocodile recovering from a fishing line entanglement, a sea turtle healing from a boat propeller wound. Most of the animals we treat are injured by human activity, Hannah explained as they watched a veterinarian examine a cockatoo with a damaged wing. We fix them up and release them back to the wild when possible. You save them, Pyrrha said softly. Even the dangerous ones. Especially the dangerous ones, Hannah said. They're the ones most at risk. People fear them, which makes it harder to get funding for conservation, but they're vital to the ecosystem. They moved to an outdoor enclosure where a cassowary watched them with intelligent, suspicious eyes. The bird stood nearly 2 meters tall with a distinctive blue head and neck, and powerful legs ending in dagger-like claws. This is Charlie, Hannah said. He was hit by a car and broke his leg. We've been rehabilitating him for 6 months. He'll be released next week. It looks aggressive, Kelvin observed, pressing against the far side of the viewing area. Cassowaries can be territorial, Hannah agreed. Those claws can kill a human with one kick. But Charlie's actually pretty gentle. Watch. She opened a small door in the fence and tossed in some fruit. Charlie approached with surprising grace, delicately picking up pieces of fruit with his massive claws. See? Hannah said. He knows we're trying to help. Animals are smarter than people give them credit for. They continued the tour. With each animal, Tev noticed something that had been missing from his previous observations. The care. The humans didn't just study these creatures or protect them from a distance. They healed them. They spoke to them gently. They celebrated small victories in their recovery. After the rehabilitation center, Hannah led them on a walk around the research station grounds. Every few meters brought a new discovery. A golden orb weaver spider, its web spanning 3 meters between trees. A blue-tongued lizard sunning itself on a rock. A kookaburra calling from a branch overhead. And then they rounded a corner and found themselves face to face with a man in farm clothes, holding a bucket and walking unconcernedly toward the main building. "G'day," he called. "You must be the alien scientists." "I'm Bill. Maintain the grounds here." "Hello," Tev replied cautiously. "Fair warning. Had a bit of a run-in with an eastern brown this morning near the generator shed. He took off into the bush, but keep your eyes open, yeah? You had a run-in with a what?" Kelvin demanded. "Eastern brown. Big one too, probably 2 meters. Nearly stepped on him." "The second most venomous snake on Earth," Tev said. "You nearly stepped on it." "Yeah, gave me a proper fright," Bill said cheerfully. "Anyway, better get this equipment inside before the afternoon rain. Welcome to Queensland." He walked off, whistling. The alien stood in stunned silence. "Did that human," Counselor Rack said slowly, "just casually mention nearly dying as though it were a minor inconvenience?" "Eastern browns are pretty common," Sam said. "Bill's been working here for 20 years. He knows how to avoid trouble." "But he almost stepped on it," Kelvin protested. "Almost, but he didn't, that's the key." They continued walking. Hannah pointed out various plants, some medicinal, some deadly poisonous. She showed them a beach in the distance where warning signs advertised jellyfish, crocodiles, and strong currents. "Do people swim there?" Pyrrha asked. "Sure, during the safe season. Just got to know when and where." They returned to the research station as the sun began to set. The evening brought new sounds, insects, frogs, birds, and things Tev couldn't identify. His sensors cataloged dozens of species in the immediate vicinity. That night, they gathered in the main conference room for a final briefing. Counselor Rax's projection had been joined by several other council members, all observing remotely. Dr. Tev, Rax said formally, you've now completed surveys of Earth's terrestrial, marine, and Australian ecosystems. What is your conclusion? Tev looked at his datapad. His report was 193 pages long. He'd documented hundreds of species, analyzed countless dangers, and recorded innumerable examples of human adaptation and resilience. Counselor, he said slowly, my conclusion is this. Earth is not just a death world. It is perhaps the most hostile environment for complex life that has ever produced a spacefaring species. The concentration of lethal species, the diversity of killing methods, the sheer creativity of evolution's arms race here, it defies probability. He paused, choosing his words carefully. But what's more remarkable than the danger is humanity's response to it. They didn't just survive. They didn't just adapt. They thrived. And in thriving, they developed characteristics that should be impossible in such an environment. Explain, Rax said. Compassion, Tev said. Curiosity, conservation ethics, scientific rigor. Dr. Wright was nearly killed twice by taipans and dedicates her life to protecting them. Bill nearly stepped on an eastern brown and treated it as a minor inconvenience. Lieutenant Torres grew up checking her shoes for scorpions and sees it as normal. Dr. Chen studies creatures that could kill him and calls them beautiful. He looked around at the humans in the room. They evolved in hell, Tev continued. Everything on this planet is either trying to kill you, trying to poison you, trying to eat you, or all three. The sun burns you. The water drowns you. The ocean stings you. The land bites you. There are spiders in your homes, snakes in your yards, crocodiles in your rivers, and sharks in your seas. By every logical metric, humans should be paranoid, aggressive, and territorial. But they're not, Pyrrha said softly. No, Tev agreed. They're explorers, scientists, conservationists. They made friends with wolves and turned them into dogs. They domesticated horses despite being kicked. They protect the things that kill them because they understand that every species has a right to exist. They're not aggressive because they understand violence. They're not paranoid because they understand risk. They're not cruel because they've seen what cruelty looks like in nature. He closed his datapad. Earth is a Class 12 death world, Tev said. But humanity is something else entirely. They're survivors who learned compassion, warriors who chose peace, apex predators who became guardians. I don't think the Council has a classification for what they are. The conference room was silent. Finally, Counselor Rax spoke. Dr. Tev, based on your assessment, what is your recommendation regarding Earth's petition for Council membership? Tev didn't hesitate. Accept them immediately, not despite their origins, but because of them. The galaxy needs species who understand that survival doesn't require cruelty, that strength doesn't require aggression, that understanding danger makes you better equipped to handle it. And if they bring their dangerous animals with them? Asked another counselor. Then we learn from them, Tev said. Just as they learned from their animals. Fear and respect aren't mutually exclusive. Neither are danger and beauty. Hannah Wright spoke up. If I may, Counselor, I think you're looking at this wrong. You're asking what humanity might do to the galaxy. Perhaps you should ask what the galaxy might do to humanity. We've shown you our most dangerous species, but we haven't shown you our most endangered ones. The species we've driven to extinction. The ecosystems we've destroyed. We're not perfect and we never claim to be. Then why should we trust you? Rax asked. Because we're trying, Hannah said simply. We made mistakes, we're still making mistakes, but we're learning. We're protecting what we can, fixing what we broke, and trying to do better. Isn't that what matters? Outside the conference room, the Australian night was alive with sound. Somewhere in the darkness, a taipan hunted rodents. A funnel web spider waited in its burrow. A cassowary nested in the rainforest. A saltwater crocodile floated in still water. And humans impossibly slept soundly through it all. Because they were home. Counselor Rax studied the data one more time. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Earth was the most dangerous, habitable planet ever discovered. And humanity was extraordinary because of it, not despite it. The Council will render its decision tomorrow, Rax announced. Thank you, Dr. Tev, for your thorough assessment. And thank you, Dr. Wright, Lieutenant Torres, Dr. Chen, for your cooperation and patience. After the call ended and the holograms faded, the team sat together in the quiet room. Do you think they'll accept us? Sam asked. I don't know, Tev admitted. But I hope so. The galaxy is a large, beautiful, and often dangerous place. I think it could use more humans. Pyrrha looked out the window at the dark Australian landscape. I want to come back, she said quietly. When this is all over, I want to study here. Really study. Not just catalog dangers, but understand the ecosystem. Learn how all these pieces fit together. You'd be welcome, Hannah said warmly. We could always use more scientists, especially ones with fresh perspectives. Even though I'm terrified? Pyrrha asked. Especially because you're terrified, Hannah said. Fear keeps you careful. Careful keeps you alive. And being alive means you get to see all the beautiful, terrible, wonderful things this planet has to offer. That night, as Tev began writing his final report, he found himself struggling to find the right words. How did you explain that a death world had taught him more about life than a lifetime of safe observations? How did you describe the paradox of humans protecting the things that hunted them? In the end, he wrote simply, Earth is dangerous. Humanity is kind. Perhaps only the first could have created the second. And perhaps the galaxy needs both. He transmitted the report and looked out at the stars. Tomorrow, the Council would decide humanity's fate. He hoped they chose wisely. 3 months had passed since Dr. Tev submitted his final report. 3 months of debate, discussion, and deliberation among the 47 member species of the Galactic Council. And now, in the grand chamber where Earth's fate had first been questioned, the Council had assembled to render its judgment. Captain David Reed stood with Ambassador Laura Mendez, both wearing their formal uniforms. Behind them, a delegation of 50 humans waited, representing every continent, culture, and calling. Scientists and soldiers, teachers and engineers, children and elders, Earth in all its diversity. Counselor Rax floated at his customary position, his crystalline form catching the chamber's light. But something had changed in the 3 months since the assessment. His usual stern demeanor had softened into something that might have been respect. We are gathered, Rax began, his voice resonating through the chamber and its translation systems, to conclude a matter of historic significance. 3 months ago, we suspended Earth's integration into the Galactic Council, pending a full ecological assessment. That assessment has been completed, reviewed, and analyzed by every member species. Today, we vote on Earth's membership. He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. But before we vote, I wish to address the findings directly. Dr. Tev, please step forward. Tev glided to the center of the chamber, Pyrrha beside him. Both had returned to council space, but Tev noticed his young assistant kept glancing at the human delegation with something that looked like longing. She'd fallen in love with Earth, despite or perhaps because of its dangers. Dr. Tev, Rax said, your report was the most comprehensive ecological survey ever conducted by the Council. 247 pages, 3,000 documented species, 500 distinct threat vectors. It was, in a word, alarming. Several counselors murmured agreement. However, Rax continued, it was also enlightening. You didn't just document Earth's dangers. You documented humanity's response to those dangers. Ambassador Mendez, Captain Reed. Before we proceed to the vote, I believe the Council would benefit from hearing directly from humans about what Dr. Tev observed. How do you explain your species' unusual relationship with danger? Laura stepped forward. Counselor, if I may, I'd like to tell you about my grandmother. Rax inclined his crystalline head. Please. My grandmother lived in a small village in Colombia, Laura began, in the mountains near the rainforest. When she was young, a jaguar began hunting near the village. It killed livestock, and people were afraid. The men wanted to hunt it, kill it, eliminate the threat. The chamber was silent, listening, but my grandmother convinced them to wait. She studied the jaguar's patterns, learned its territory. She discovered it had been driven from its normal hunting grounds by deforestation. So instead of killing the jaguar, the village worked with conservationists to protect and restore part of the rainforest. The jaguar returned to its natural territory. The livestock were safe. The jaguar was safe. Laura looked around the chamber. My grandmother taught me that fear is natural, but understanding is powerful. The jaguar wasn't evil. It was just trying to survive. Once we understood that, we could find a solution that protected everyone. And that philosophy extends to all dangerous species? Asked Counselor Finn. It extends to all species, David interjected. Dangerous or not. We learned a long time ago that ecosystems are interconnected. Remove one species, even a scary one, and the whole system can collapse. We've seen it happen. We've caused it to happen to our shame. You speak of shame, Rax observed. That's an unusual emotion to associate with ecological management. We drove species to extinction, Laura said quietly. The passenger pigeon, the Tasmanian tiger, the golden toad, dozens of others. We were careless, ignorant, or greedy. Those species are gone forever because of us. That's worth shame. But you learned, Pyrrha said softly, speaking up for the first time. You changed your behavior. We're trying to, David said. We're not perfect. We still make mistakes, but we're trying to do better, to protect what remains, to restore what we damaged. Rax turned to address the full council. This is what Dr. Tev documented. A species that evolved in one of the galaxy's most hostile environments, that made mistakes and learned from them, that chose conservation over domination. A species that, despite every logical reason to become aggressive and paranoid, instead became curious and compassionate. He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth slowly rotating, beautiful and blue. Earth has been officially classified as a Class 12 death world, Rax announced, the highest danger classification in Council records. In fact, we've had to create a new designation, Class 12 Omega. The Omega indicates not just danger, but also exceptional biodiversity and evolutionary complexity. The display zoomed in, showing various ecosystems, each tagged with information. Earth hosts approximately 8,700,000 species, Rax continued, more than any other known planet. It has megafauna weighing 6,000 kilograms. It has microorganisms that kill hundreds of thousands annually. It has venomous species, poisonous species, predatory species, and parasitic species in numbers that dwarf the rest of the galaxy combined. Another image appeared, a human child petting a dog, completely at ease, and yet, Rax said, humans keep apex predators as companions. They swim in water filled with venomous creatures. They hike through territories inhabited by large predators. They live, work, and raise children in one of the galaxy's most hostile environments. And they call it home. He paused, letting the images cycle through. Elephants, sharks, snakes, spiders, jellyfish, all the creatures that had terrified the assessment team. The question before this council, Rax said, is not whether humans are dangerous. Clearly, any species that evolved on Earth had to become formidable to survive. The question is, what kind of danger do they represent to us? The chamber waited. Dr. Tev's conclusion, which I have come to share, is that humans represent no danger at all. They are not aggressive. They are not cruel. They are not thoughtless. They are instead remarkably gentle given their origins. They are diplomatic, curious, and eager to learn. They have survived the unsurvivable and emerged with their compassion intact. Rax's form brightened. The closest his species came to showing emotion. I move that Earth be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities therein. Furthermore, I move that we establish the following protocols and recognitions. A document appeared in holographic form, its points clearly visible. 1. Earth is officially recognized as humanity's homeworld, with special protected status. No Council species may colonize, exploit, or damage Earth's ecosystems without explicit human permission. 2. A new Council division will be established, the Department of Survival Sciences. Humans will lead this department, teaching other species about emergency response, risk assessment, and adaptation to hostile environments. 3. A new classification for sapient species will be created, survivor-class civilizations. Humanity is the first species to earn this designation, recognizing their unique evolutionary path and the lessons they can teach. 4. The Council requests human assistance in developing protocols for exploring and assessing high-risk worlds. Their expertise in danger evaluation is unmatched. 5. Special quarantine and introduction protocols will be established for Earth species. While we recognize the value of Earth's biodiversity, we also acknowledge that most Council worlds are not equipped to handle even Earth's harmless species. A ripple of nervous laughter went through the chamber at that last point. Everyone remembered the presentation about house cats. All those in favor of Earth's full membership with these provisions? Rax called. The chamber lit up with affirmative signals. Green lights, chiming sounds, holographic confirmations. Every single Council member voted yes. Motion carries unanimously, Rax declared. Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council. Welcome humanity to the galactic community. The human delegation erupted in cheers. David felt Laura grab his hand, squeezing hard enough to hurt. He didn't care. They'd done it. Against all odds, despite all the fear and misunderstanding, they'd done it. Rax raised an appendage for silence. However, I have one final request before we adjourn. The chamber quieted. Dr. Mendez, I understand that human children often give presentations about topics they're passionate about. I would very much like to hear from a young human about Earth's animals. Would that be possible? Laura smiled. Actually, Counselor, we anticipated that request. We have someone prepared. A small figure stepped forward from the human delegation. Emma Chen was 8 years old with her father's dark hair and her mother's bright smile. She carried a datapad and showed no fear at all standing in the center of the Galactic Council. Hello, Emma said, her voice clear and confident. My name is Emma. I'm in 3rd grade, and today I'm going to tell you about my 3 favorite animals. The counselors leaned forward, curious and slightly apprehensive. My first favorite animal is the octopus, Emma began, pulling up a holographic image. Not the blue-ringed octopus, thankfully, but a common giant Pacific octopus. Octopuses are super smart. They can solve puzzles and open jars. They have 3 hearts and blue blood, and they can change colors to match anything around them. Isn't that cool? Several counselors made sounds of agreement. So far, so good. My second favorite animal is the wolf, Emma continued. A hologram of a gray wolf appeared, magnificent and powerful. Wolves are the ancestors of dogs. They're really smart and live in families called packs. They talk to each other by howling. My dad says humans and wolves have been friends for over 30,000 years. We helped each other survive. Tev glanced at David, who shrugged with a smile. Of course, humans would describe their relationship with apex predators as friendship. And my third favorite animal, Emma said, her face lighting up with genuine excitement, is my pet python, Noodle. The chamber went very quiet. Noodle is a ball python, Emma explained, showing pictures. She's about 1 meter long and really pretty. She has brown and gold patterns. She eats mice once a week, and she likes to wrap around my arm when I hold her. She's really gentle and soft. Want to see? Before anyone could respond, Emma reached into a carrier that David hadn't noticed she was holding. She carefully extracted a snake, holding it with practiced ease as it coiled around her forearm. Several counselors made alarmed sounds. Kelvin actually ducked behind his platform. This is Noodle, Emma said, completely oblivious to the panic she'd caused. She's 5 years old. Ball pythons are called that because they curl up in a ball when they're scared. But Noodle's not scared. She likes people. The snake's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Its scales gleamed under the chamber's lights. Pythons are constrictors, Emma continued, launching into what was clearly a well-rehearsed presentation. That means they squeeze their food. But Noodle would never hurt a person. She's too small, and anyway, we're friends. I feed her and keep her warm, and she keeps me company while I do my homework. Rax descended until he was level with Emma. His crystalline form reflected the snake's patterns in prismatic colors. Emma, he said carefully, you carry a predator as a companion? Noodle's not a predator, Emma said. Well, I mean, she eats mice, so I guess technically she is. But she's mostly just a noodle. A cute, scaly noodle. And you're not afraid of her? Emma looked genuinely puzzled by the question. Afraid of Noodle? Why would I be afraid? She's my friend. Rax looked at the snake, then at the child, then at the human delegation. David could see the exact moment when everything Tev had written, everything they'd discussed, everything they'd tried to explain, clicked into place. This was humanity. A child holding a snake without fear, calling it her friend, seeing beauty where others saw danger. Emma, Rax said gently. Thank you for sharing Noodle with us. She is indeed very beautiful, Emma beamed. Thank you. Do you want to pet her? She likes having her head rubbed. Perhaps another time, Rax said diplomatically, but I am grateful to have met her. Emma carefully returned Noodle to the carrier and went back to stand with her father, completely unaware that she'd just demonstrated everything the council needed to understand about humanity. Rax turned to address the full assembly. What we just witnessed, council members, is the essence of humanity. A child, showing affection for a creature that her evolutionary ancestors would have feared, seeing beauty and friendship where instinct says there should be danger. This is what humans do. They transform fear into understanding, danger into opportunity, and instinct into choice. He paused, his form pulsing with light. Earth is a death world, but humanity is not a death species. They are life-bringers, survivors who learned not just to endure but to cherish, and I believe the galaxy will be better for their presence. The chamber erupted in agreement, sounds, lights, and signals of approval from every species present. Over the next hour, the formalities concluded. Treaties were signed digitally. Protocols were established. Assignments were made. David was promoted to Director of Human-Alien Relations. Laura became the head of the new Interspecies Biology Institute. Sam Torres received commendations for her patience during the assessment. Dr. Tev published his report, which became required reading for every xenobiology student in the galaxy. It was titled Death World Diplomacy: How Humanity's Gentle Strength Can Reshape Galactic Civilization. Pyrrha officially requested transfer to Earth, where she would spend the next 5 years studying Australian ecosystems and writing her own groundbreaking papers on evolutionary adaptation. Ambassador Nira, fully recovered from her initial trauma, became one of humanity's strongest advocates, often joking that anyone who survived seeing a crocodile video could survive anything. But perhaps the most significant change came in how the galaxy viewed danger itself. Within a year, the Council established wilderness reserves on several member worlds, protecting their few predatory species rather than exterminating them. Humans served as consultants, teaching conservation methods and ecological balance. Human emergency response teams began training Council security forces in disaster preparedness and threat assessment. It turned out that species who grew up checking shoes for scorpions were exceptionally good at risk evaluation. Most surprisingly, Earth's tourism industry exploded. Aliens from across the galaxy paid enormous sums to visit the Death World under carefully controlled conditions. They watched crocodiles from safe distances. They observed sharks through reinforced glass. They marveled at elephants, snakes, and spiders from secure facilities. And slowly, carefully, some of them began to understand what humans had always known: that danger and beauty could coexist, that fear and respect were two sides of the same coin, and that the most hostile environment could forge the gentlest souls. 5 years after Earth's admission to the Council, a grand celebration was held on Unity Station. Representatives from all Council worlds attended, including several who had initially opposed human membership. David stood at the observation deck where this had all begun, watching Earth rotate below. Laura joined him, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. "Hard to believe it's been 5 years, she said, handing him a glass. 5 years since Nira fainted at the sight of a crocodile, David agreed. Seems like yesterday. And look at us now. 3 new species joined the Council this year, partially because they saw how we handled Earth's integration. The Department of Survival Sciences has trained over 10,000 Council members, and Emma's giving presentations about Noodle across the galaxy." David laughed. "That kid's going to grow up to be either an amazing ambassador or a wildlife handler. Why not both?" They clinked glasses and drank, watching the stars. Behind them, the celebration continued. Humans mingled with gentle scholars, swimmers, burrowers, and dozens of other species. Music from a dozen worlds played in harmony. Food from countless cultures filled the tables. And in one corner, Pyrrha was showing a group of young aliens a video of a cassowary, explaining with evident enthusiasm how the bird's claws were actually modified feathers and discussing the evolutionary advantages of flightless birds in certain environments. The galaxy had changed. Not overnight and not without challenges, but it had changed. Earth remained a death world. Australia still had the most concentrated collection of dangerous species anywhere. Humans still swam with sharks and kept snakes as pets. None of that had altered. What had changed was understanding. The Council species no longer saw Earth's dangers as aberrations. They saw them as lessons. They no longer saw humanity's survival as luck. They saw it as achievement. They no longer asked how humans survived their planet. They asked what they could learn from species who had. Counselor Rax approached David and Laura at the window. His crystalline form had taken on a warmer hue over the years, softened by friendship and understanding. "Quite a view," he said, looking down at Earth. "Never gets old," David agreed. "I wanted to thank you both," Rax said. "When we first met, I believed humanity was a dangerous unknown. A threat to be evaluated and possibly rejected. And now? Laura asked. Now I believe humanity is a dangerous known, Rack said with what might have been humor, but a welcome one. You came from a world that should have made you cruel and instead it made you kind. You faced every reason to become monsters, and you chose to become guardians. That's worth celebrating. We're not perfect, David reminded him. No species is. But you're trying, and you're teaching the rest of us to try harder. Far below, Earth continued its eternal spin. Somewhere in Africa, elephants walked to waterholes. In Australia, taipans hunted in the dusk. In the Pacific, orcas sang their complex songs. In the Amazon, jaguars padded through the jungle. And everywhere, humans lived alongside them, studied them, protected them, feared them, respected them, and loved them, because Earth was home, dangerous, beautiful, complex, hostile, nurturing, deadly, and alive home. To Earth, Laura said, raising her glass. To humanity, Rax added. To understanding, David finished. They drank together, 3 species who had learned to see past fear, and watched the death world spin below, gorgeous and terrible and precious beyond measure. In her quarters, Emma Chen was video calling her mother, holding Noodle up to the camera and chattering excitedly about all the aliens who wanted to learn about pythons. The snake, as always, was patient and gentle, content to be held and admired. And somewhere in the council archives, Dr. Tev's report waited for the next generation of xenobiologists. Its final line a testament to everything they'd learned. Earth is a Class 12 Omega death world. Humanity is a survivor-class civilization. But perhaps most importantly, they are proof that the cruelest teachers can forge the gentlest students, that survival need not breed cruelty, and that a species' origins do not dictate their destiny. The galaxy is richer for their presence, safer for their wisdom, and braver for their example. May we all learn to face our fears with such grace. Below that, in smaller text, someone had added an addendum. P.S. Seriously, never let them casually mention Australia. Just trust me on this. The galaxy had learned about Earth's deadliest animals, and in learning, they had discovered something far more important. Earth's gentlest inhabitants, who had befriended the deadly, studied the dangerous, and protected the fearsome, who had looked at a world trying to kill them and decided to love it anyway, who had faced hell and built paradise, who had survived, and in surviving, had become something the galaxy had never seen before and would never forget. Human.